Hi, I'm Bill Bradley. Join me for a recent excerpt of American Voices. Here in American Voices, we want to celebrate this great country, so each week we invite a writer to tell us about a beloved place or sound in America. Recently, we heard from Washington Post reporter Michael Kranish on his favorite place. He's the author of the book, The World's Fastest Man, The Extraordinary Life of Cyclist Major Taylor, America's First Black Sports Hero. We asked Michael Kranish about his favorite sound in America, and it reminded him of a story he wanted to share.
My name is Michael Kranish, and my favorite sound is a bird that makes a sound that goes something like this: Peabody, Peabody. I had moved many years ago from Miami to Concord, New Hampshire when I was working for the Boston Globe. And it was the middle of winter. It was January, so it's about 100-degree temperature change, as I recall it. I was thinking of doing a story about the glory of spring coming very, very slowly and subtly to this sort of frozen landscape of New Hampshire. I hadn't lived in an area with a real honest spring for about 5 years, and I was looking forward to that. So I ended up writing a column about seeing spring and the joys of spring in New England, which a lot of people who go through New England winters appreciated very much. And I sort of understood that as people would talk about, oh, I saw the Mayflower today, or I saw this. And one day I heard a particular bird that I had not heard before, and it made a sound something like Peabody, Peabody. So I wanted to describe that in the story that I was writing, a column about seeing the signs and hearing the signs of spring. So I called up Audubon, and I called them. These were the days before online. You actually had to call 411 for information. You ask the operator for Audubon, and they give you the number, and then you call that. And so the guy answers, and I said, I'm with the Boston Globe. I'm writing a story about the signs of spring, and I want to identify a bird that makes this sound. And then I told him what the sound was that I was trying to get. He said, yeah, that's the such and such bird. And I said, well, thank you so much. I appreciate that. I just want to make sure I get it right. And then he said, well, why are you calling me? And I said, well, Audubon, don't you know all about birds? And he said, no, this is the Audubon. We fix cars. So that was the New England accent that was being introduced to me day by day. I did not quite pick up on the fact that this was the Autobahn and not the Audubon. When I told the operator I wanted a number for Audubon, the operator thought that I meant what I would call the Autobarn, but in New England they'd call it the Autobahn. But nonetheless, he answered my questions very politely, and I always remembered that New Englanders could be sort of gruff, but they took my question and didn't really question it very much. Why I was asking that. So ever since, I've always listened out for the sound of that particular bird. I think he thought it was amusing. The typical sort of flatlander, coming outside of New England, didn't know. There were a lot of sounds that I learned in New England that I really had never heard before, and that. As a reporter, sometimes you write about the news. This was very rare for me to not write a news story, but to write a first-person story about signs of spring. And it sort of always stuck with me, and I still look for those signs of spring wherever I am.
That was Washington Post reporter Michael Kranish. He's the author of the book, The World's Fastest Man, The Extraordinary Life of Cyclist Major Taylor, America's First Black Sports Hero. Thank you for listening to American Voices here on my YouTube channel. For more interviews celebrating the goodness and creativity of the American people, click the subscribe button below.